Guys, listen, so excited to be here with you guys today. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Johnathan Decker. I get to serve here as Crosspoint's Youth and Young Adults intern, and man, I'm just so pumped to be here. So excited if you're new here that you chose to spend a part of your Sunday with us tonight. That's awesome. Hey, tonight we've been going through a series called Things That Jesus Never Said. And there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of stuff on social media you guys have probably seen about what Jesus has said, and by some crazy stuff too. So we're here to set the record straight and take you guys back to the Bible on what Jesus actually really did say. Pastor Ryan's been doing an amazing job on this series. Give it up for Pastor Ryan again. He's done an amazing job on this series. And tonight I had the privilege of taking up the topic of Jesus never said, I don't have a plan for you. That he never said that. In fact, we know that Jesus does have a plan and purpose for your life, and we're going to dive into that this morning. So when I think of plans, I think of, sports. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys had a terrible game plan today against the Broncos. We got our butts kicked. I'm sorry. You guys can clap, whatever. But so when it comes to plans, I remember Mike Tyson's quote says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. That's pretty real if you've ever done any sort of sparring. Like once you get hit in the face, you're like, whoa, okay, I better lock in, right? All the planning just kind of goes out the window, right? But when I think of plans, I'm much more of like a roll with the punches kind of guy. I'm more fluid. I'm flexible, that kind of stuff. I do like to plan certain times. There was a time that when I was a kid, I did have an amazing plan, or at least I thought it was an amazing plan. You see, when I was like 12 or 13 years old, my brother Daniel, who at this time was like 9 or 10, he was young too, wasn't really athletic. He was pretty tiny, right? And so we were playing wiffle ball at my grandparents' house. And if you don't know what wiffle ball is, it's like plastic baseball. So it's a little plastic ball, a little plastic bat, and you can just hit some dingers with this thing, right? You can just send it to the moon. It's crazy. And we were battling out. We were going for real 9 innings in the summer. Like straight up, bottom of the first, bottom of all that kind of stuff, all the way 9 innings. It's the bottom of the ninth. I'm freaking out because we're tied right now. I'm not about to lose to my little brother, right? That's just not going to happen, right? So he pitches this to me, and I just let this one fly, right? I send it all the way to the neighbor's yard, and our grandparents' neighbors, they had this chicken wire fence. So it's like a smaller fence you can see over, and they had this how do I describe this? Crazy dog. He was super nice, but he was just energetic, like a dog on steroids or something like that. It was insane. He had these really long claws and stuff. I just spit. And he was super big and stuff. And so he was kind of a menace because he was almost nice to the point where he was too nice and just super dangerous, right? Because he was just so big. And so we hit that ball with a fence. And, me being the older brother, me being the one that has to come up with the plan, the one that has to, make ends. I'm gonna figure this out, right? We're gonna get this ball back because it's the only ball we have. We have to get this ball back. So my brilliant plan was, hey, I'm gonna stand right here by this fence. Daniel, you go over the fence and get the ball back from the dog. That was my plan. I was like, hey, this dog might be just as big as you, Daniel, but you got that dog inside you. You got this, dude. You can go get that ball. And so sure enough, I stand right by the fence, and I'm like, here, Briar, here, boy, come here. The dog comes running over. Again, super friendly, just super big for whatever reason, had really long claws. And I'm petting him, and meanwhile, my little brother, again, who's 9 or 10 years old at this point, is trying his best to hop this fence. He barely makes it over and falls on his back. He gets up. As soon as he gets up, this dog no longer has any interest in me whatsoever. And it just bolts for Daniel. It just charges him. I felt so bad. He just immediately takes him down. He's trying to get back up. It's all over him. Me and Daniel were shirtless at this point, and so this dog is just clawing him, not really trying to, but just laying him open. He's legit bleeding now. He has claw marks and stuff. He's screaming and crying. And at this point, again, me being the older brother, me being the one that's gonna protect my little brother who's getting viciously mauled by a nice dog, I'm like, just throw me the ball. Just throw me the ball. There's no way I'm going over this fence to help him out. Just throw me the ball, dude. You got this. And I was actually really impressed because this dude actually threw me the ball. He got the ball back to me, and he makes it over the fence, bleeding, crying. I'm hyping him up. You did awesome, Dana. Let's go, dude. That was incredible. But please stop crying, though, because mom's going to find out. And sure enough, she came running out, and it was not a good day for Johnathan, okay? I got in a lot of trouble. But if we're being honest here, my plan kind of worked. We got the ball back. So that's all that really matters, okay? Daniel was fine. He healed, okay? Scars heal. But anyway, so when it comes to plans, flash forward a couple times in my life, there's been many instances where I've had plans that didn't go the way I thought they would. Or I had plans that I thought were from God that turns out they weren't from God. And it just kind of lets me down sometimes. And there's also been some times in my life where I've experienced things I never thought would be God's plan for my life. And then, one of those things I can think of is legit being here. If you told last year Johnathan that he would be in California doing full-time ministry, I would have thought you're crazy. There's no way this dude from Ohio is going to come to California, right? But it's just one of those things that's a part of God's plan that I love. But there's also been moments that because of how bad that I failed, or because how much sin I did, or because I was going down a wrong path, that I thought that there's no way that God could use me, that there's no way he had a plan and purpose for my life. And that got to me. And what I'm willing to bet here is that I'm not the only one that has ever thought that before. Because for a lot of us in here, we were like, man, like I don't know what God's plan for my life is. I have no idea what it could be. I'm so lost. I'm trying to figure this all out. I don't know where to turn. Or there's no way that God could use me, right? A lot of us have thought this before. But I want to challenge you guys with this verse. It's going to be on the screen. It's Isaiah chapter 55. And we're going to start in verse 8. And you guys don't have to turn this on the screen. It says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts more than your thoughts." And so although we may not have a plan for our life, although we may not know God's plan for our life, it doesn't mean that Jesus does not have a plan for you. In fact, it's the opposite. Jesus has a plan and a purpose for each and every single one of you in here tonight. He has a plan for you. He never said he didn't. He has a plan for you guys. But what are we doing wrong then? Why can't we figure this out? Because, we get so caught up in what everybody else around us is doing. We get so caught up in just like, oh my gosh, well, he's doing this. Like, take for instance me, like I'm a single 22-year-old youth intern. Most of my friends my age are either married, getting married, engaged, or having kids. Like, it's actually insane, right? So a lot of times I'm like, man, am I playing catch up, right? Am I too slow? Like, am I not at God's plan for me? Like, am I doing it wrong? So a lot of us can feel that way. We get so caught up in what everybody else around us is doing, and we just want to figure out what God's plan for our life is, because we all just crave purpose. We all crave a purpose bigger than ourselves. We want to be a part of God's amazing plan for our lives. But what do? We have to realize three things. Number one, Jesus does have a plan for you, but he's working on you first. So everybody go to Genesis chapter 39. I'm not going to spend too much time here tonight, but Genesis chapter 39, this is a little backstory for you guys. Everybody probably has heard the story of Joseph from the Bible. If you're not, this is going to get like a very Cliff Note version. His brothers hate his guts for whatever reason. They sell him into slavery into Egypt, which is the most powerful nation in the world at that time. And he goes through these ups and downs, promotions, demotions, goes to jail, all this kind of stuff. He ends up, though, as a second in command over all of Egypt. And he's running Egypt with Pharaoh, right? And he saves his family and a bunch of people from this great famine, right? From starving to death. But how do we get from point A, where he's a slave in Egypt, all the way to point B, where he's fulfilling God's plan for his life, and he's second in command over all Egypt? Like, what happened? Genesis 39, we're going to start in verse 4. It says, "This pleased Potiphar, so he soon made Joseph his personal attendant. He put him in charge of his entire household and everything he owned." Next verse. Oh, there we go. "From the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household for Joseph's sake. All his household affairs ran smoothly, and his crops and livestock flourished." So we see here, he's elevated, right? He's doing good. But then all of a sudden, he gets framed for a crime he did not commit. So what happens? We're going to turn to verse 22 now. Verse 22, and it says, "Before long, the warden put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners and over everything that happened in the prison." Next verse. And it says, "The warden had no more worries because Joseph took care of everything. And the Lord was with them and caused them everything that he did to be successful." So it's an amazing story of, he goes up and down through life, and he's learning how to manage these different things. And how do we get from point A to point B? We realize that God was working on Joseph the entire time. That God was stretching his faith and then making him closer to him, right? And also we see that God was just working on him because he learned grace and forgiveness, enough grace and forgiveness to go and forgive his brothers who sold him into slavery in the first place. God had to work on him first. And guess what? It's the same story with you and I. God has to work on you first. He is trying to mold you and shape you into the person that he wants you to become, the person that he needs you to become in order to fulfill his purpose in your life. It's going to hurt sometimes. It's going to be uncomfortable sometimes, but he is trying to work on each and every single one of you. James chapter 1, verse 4. James chapter 1, verse 4. You guys don't have to turn there, but it says, "So let it grow, for when endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, lacking nothing," right? So just be patient. God is working on you. He's building your endurance. He's building your faith. You don't need to rush anything. God is working on you. Let him work. So number 2, Jesus does have a plan for you, but comparison is destroying you. Jesus has a plan for you, but comparison is destroying you. John 21. Everybody go to John chapter 21. John 21. We're going to be in verse 18. I'm going to set the stage a little bit here. Jesus, he dies on the cross, rises again in 3 days. He appears to more than 500 people, right, that he's living and breathing again. He appears to his disciples as well. And in this instant, he's on the beach, on the shore, and they just caught a bunch of fish, and he's talking to Peter directly. And look what it says in verse 18. And this is Jesus talking. It says, "I tell you the truth, when you were young, you were able to do as you liked. You dressed yourself and went wherever you wanted to go. When you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and others will dress you and take you where you do not want to go." And next verse. "And Jesus said to Jesus said this to let him know by what kind of death he would glorify God. Then Jesus told him, "Follow me." Peter turned around and saw behind him the disciple Jesus loved, the one who leaned over to Jesus during supper and asked, "Lord, who will betray you?" Peter asked Jesus, "What about him, Lord?" And Jesus replied, "If I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? As for you, you follow me." And so this is a really powerful passage that we oftentimes skip through, but I love this verse. So what happens is Jesus is telling Peter, when you're going to stretch forth your hands, people are going to take you where you don't want to go. In that culture, they would understand it as, hey, Peter, you're going to be crucified for following me. In fact, history actually tells us that Peter faced a very horrible, painful death for being a Christian, for following Jesus, right? He faced a terrible death for it. He was crucified upside down. And so when Jesus tells him this, Peter, acting like we probably would if Jesus told us that, he's like, whoa, man, like, what do you mean? Like, I'm going to die for this? Like, what about John? Like, what's John going to do, right? What about him, right? How we all would probably react too. But I love what Jesus says here. Jesus says, hey, if it's in my will as God, if it's in my will that he lives until I come back, what is that to you? You follow me. He's saying, you follow me. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Don't worry about the plan that God is doing through other people. You follow Jesus. Jesus has a very specific, amazing plan and purpose for each and every single one of you. But you have to quit the comparison game. Comparison will destroy you. Is you're gonna let it bother you. It's gonna hurt you a little bit because you're like, oh my gosh, like they're doing this and oh she's doing this for God. Like, oh my, like God, what about me? And what happens is you stay stationary because you're so fixated on what everybody else is doing that you just get down on yourself and you're like, well, I mean, God's doing that with them. I guess he can't do anything with me. Like, I'm too behind. And then Jesus is over here, and he's like, no, like, I need you to focus on me. I need you to walk after me. Like, I'm trying to help you, but you're just comparing yourself. Like, God's plan for other people is not God's plan for you. He's trying to work on you guys. He's trying to do something different through you. So let him work on you and stop comparing yourself to other people. God has an amazing plan and purpose for you, but you have to stop comparing yourself. Finally, so number one is Jesus has a plan for you, but he's working on you first. The second one is Jesus has a plan for you, but comparison is destroying you. And finally, the third one, Jesus has a plan for you, but you're avoiding it. Jesus has a plan for you, but you're avoiding it. So go to John chapter 13. It's a few chapters behind where we're just at. And this set the stage again here. This is Jesus. He's talking to his disciples at the Last Supper, right? This is the last time he gets to talk to them because later on that night, he's going to be arrested. And he's eventually going to be crucified, right? So this is his last chance to tell his disciples what he wants to tell them. And so he starts in John chapter 13, verse 21. It says, now Jesus was deeply troubled, and he explained, I tell you the truth, one of you will betray me. The disciples looked at each other, wondering whom he could mean. The disciple Jesus loved was sitting next to Jesus at the table. And Simon Peter motioned to him to ask him, who's he talking about? So that disciple leaned over to Jesus and asked, Lord, who is it? Jesus responded, it is the one whom I give the bread I dipped in the bowl. And when he had dipped it, he gave it to Judas, son of Simon Iscariot. When Judas had eaten the bread, Satan entered into him. Then Jesus told him, hurry, and what you do, you're going to do. This is crazy, right? This is insane. Judas, we learned that he was actually really good at managing money. He was good at, using money for business and all that kind of stuff. And he was actually in charge of the money for the ministry of the 12 disciples and Jesus. And he was so good with money that he was actually stealing money from them. And the only person that knew was Jesus because he's God. Of course, he's going to know, right? But he had so much potential to be an amazing follower of Jesus, but he threw it all away. He threw it all away. He chose to go down a dark path. He chose to sin. He chose to go down his own path, right? He threw it all away, what God could have done through him. And this is going to hurt, but some of you guys are throwing away what God could do through you. Some of you guys are wasting God's potential, and we do this a couple of different ways. Well, number one, we do this by, we're just too comfortable where we're at. You see, we know that God's calling us to something more. Maybe you know specifically what it is that God wants you to do, what's the next step, or what he wants you to surrender into. But you're just like, Jesus, I see you moving that way, but I'm comfortable where I'm at. Like, that looks a little too scary. That looks a little too hard to do. I'm going to stay right here because this is comfortable for me. I enjoy this. This is not scary. I'm going to stay right here. You keep doing this thing. And you miss all that Jesus was trying to do through you. You miss this amazing plan that he had laid out for you, that he was going to help you and he was going to walk with you on. But you're too comfortable where you're at. You're like, you know what, God, go ahead. And then later on, we're like, oh my gosh, like, God, I thought you had a plan for me. Like, where are you at? No, but you just missed it because you were too afraid to take that next step. Don't be afraid to take that next step. And the second way that we avoid God's plan for our life is that we go down this path of sin. We start choosing to go our own way. We start choosing to do our own thing. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 22. And it says, run away from anything that stimulates youthful lust. Instead, pursue righteous living, faithfulness, love, and peace. Enjoy the companionship of those who call on the Lord with pure hearts. It says to flee youthful lust. Flee from your sin. Don't go down the path of destruction, because I promise you it leads nowhere good. Because what happens is Jesus is over here, and he's walking this way. And he's like, hey, let's keep walking this way. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to walk this way. I'm going to start going to this party and that party and doing this with my boyfriend, girlfriend, and living this way and living that way. And we walk so far away from Jesus. And then all of a sudden, we're like, oh my gosh, God, like, where are you at? I thought you had a plan for my life. Like, I don't feel you anywhere. Like, I thought you had a purpose for me. Like, what's your purpose? And Jesus is all the way back over here because you walked away from him. He's saying, it's over here. I want you to walk this way. I want you to come this way with me. But you're walking away. You're going on a path of destruction. You're choosing your sin. You're choosing the things that you want to do. I want you to walk this way. And we totally miss what God is trying to do through our lives. And it gets to a point where if you continue to walk down this path, that Jesus is just like, okay, do what you want. It doesn't mean that you're not going to heaven. It doesn't mean that Jesus doesn't love you. But it means that he just can't use you right now for a season because you're choosing to do your own thing. He can't use you in that aspect. And it's a very, very sad and broken place to be. And I'm telling you this because I've been there before. I've been in this spot where I was walking down my own path and choosing my sin and choosing to avoid God's plan for my life, that it almost cost me my entire plan for God's plan for my life. I'll tell you guys a personal story. It's a part of my testimony. It's a personal story that happened not too long ago, and it was just when I decided to switch online school instead of going out to college in person. And in this season, I really was not living how a child of God should live. I was not living how a follower of Jesus should live. I was doing some sin with a girl, and I was doing some other stuff I really should not have been doing, and just going down my own path and avoiding God's plan for my life entirely and choosing to do my own things. I was not living how, especially not how someone who's saying they're going to go to youth ministry should be living and acting. And it got to the point where I was not being a good example to other students, and so the point where I was told I can no longer serve in youth ministry because how are you going to lead students if you can't lead yourself well? And it got to that point. And once it got to that point, I was just hurt, and it bothered. I remember one day I was sitting at home, and I get a phone call from my dad, and my dad said, hey, I need you to come to the church real quick. I was like, I know what this is about, right? So I get in my car, I go to the church, and our church is this nice building on a field and stuff, and I get to the church, though. My dad's not in his office. He's actually standing in the parking lot. I get out of the car, and I'm just like, okay, like, what's up? And he goes, let's take a walk. And my dad's way of saying let's take a walk means it's not going to be a fun walk, right? It's going to be kind of you're not going to like this, right? And so we begin talking, and he's just kind of ripping into me, rightfully so, because I was choosing to do things that were pretty dumb, choosing to live my own way. And he's just like, man, like, I can't have you leading students because you're not leading yourself well. You're going down a path of sin. You're not setting a good example. I don't know why you're living this way. Like, why are you doing this? And I'll never forget my dad's face. I'll never forget what he said to me. I'll never forget the look and just the hurt and the brokenness in his eyes. Because my dad, he was a police officer. He was a tough guy. I didn't really see him cry that much. But in this moment, he was just broken. And he was broken because he was watching his son go down a path that he knew would lead to destruction. And he knew was not good for him. And in this moment, my dad, I'll never forget what he said or the look in his eyes, and it hurt me to this day. And he looked at me and he said, you have so much potential, but you're wasting it. You're throwing it away because you're making stupid decisions. You're going down your own path. You're doing your own thing. You're doing sinful stuff. Like, why are you doing this? You're wasting God's potential in your life. And I'll never forget that, man. Because I knew it was my dad talking, but I felt God was just speaking directly to me, like Johnathan, like, I've called you to do this, and you're living a completely different life. Why are you doing this? Why are you acting like this? And I knew in that moment that I knew I could not serve for a little bit, that God had to work on me. I had to figure some things out. I had to get back right with God. And I was such a broken and sad place to be in. But I want to challenge you guys with this. I don't want that for you guys. Because God has an amazing, amazing plan for each and every single one of you in here. I promise you that. But you do not want to throw it away. You do not want to go down your own path. Please, like, I'm telling you guys this right now. Like, don't make the same mistake that I made. Don't throw it all away. Live for Jesus. Walk with him, because I promise your life will be so much sweeter. It'll be filled with just so much more peace and joy in your life if you choose to walk with Jesus instead of making your own decisions. Walk with him. You have to be rooted in God's plan for your life. And we do this we got to realize that God is working on us. And we have to let God work on us. And secondly, we got to stop comparing ourselves with others because it's doing more damage than it is good. It's hurting us, right? Stop comparing yourself with other people's plans. God has a plan for you. And lastly, don't avoid God's plan. Don't look back on your life and be like, man, like I messed up. Like I could have done this and this and this for God, but I chose to go down my own path. And I promise you, that is going to fill you so much pain, more than you could ever experience anywhere else. To look back on your life and like, man, what if I lived differently? What if I chose to live for Jesus better? What if I chose to live his plan for my life? Don't throw it away. God has given you guys so many just amazing gifts and amazing potential. I see it in every single one of you. Don't waste it. Live for Jesus. You guys go ahead and bow your heads and close your eyes. So I'll talk to you guys for a second. First, I want to talk to the people that are following Jesus and the ones that are Christians in this room. I just want to ask you guys to be bold for a second. And nobody's looking around. Please, let's respect this place. Nobody's looking around right now. Let's ask people to be bold. If you're sitting here today and you're like, Johnathan, like, I just want God to work on me. I'm in this spot right now where I don't know what his plan is, but I want to be worked on. Or if you're sitting here today and you're like, God, like, Johnathan, like, I've been beating myself up so much because of comparison. Like, I just need some help. Will you just raise your hand? Again, no one's looking around. I just want to pray for you guys. Thank you. There's hands up everywhere. Thank you guys so much. You guys put your hands down. If you put your hand up, I want you to talk to a leader tonight. Like, don't waste that. You have an amazing opportunity right now with growth groups. We have full time now for growth groups. So please take advantage of that. Talk to a leader. All right, next question I'm going to ask you guys. Again, for the believers of Jesus in this room, the ones that are following after Jesus, this one might take a little bit more courage. For you guys that are sitting here today and you're like, Johnathan, like, I'm not going to lie. I've been going down a sinful path. Like, yeah, I'm a follower of Jesus, but I've been living my own way for a little bit. Will you just slip your hand up? Again, no one's looking around. Just be bold. Thank you, guys. Thank you. That takes a lot of courage. Thank you, guys. You guys put your hands down. I want to pray for you guys. I want to pray for you guys. And you guys are in an amazing spot right now where you recognize what you're doing and you have a chance to get back right with Jesus and to continue walking with him. And guess what? He's not going to be mad. He's not going to turn you away. He wants you to walk with him. That's why he's so passionate about it. That's why I was so passionate about it tonight, right? I want you guys to fulfill God's plan for your life because it's going to be an amazing thing to see. I can't wait to see what you guys do for God, but don't waste it. Don't waste it. And lastly, I'm going to talk to you guys here, and maybe this is your first time here. Maybe you haven't really become to church at all, but maybe this is the first time you've ever heard about Jesus. I want you guys to know that Jesus loves you guys so much that he was willing to take on our sin. You see, the Bible calls sin with the stuff that we do that's against God, right? Our bad mistakes, our bad choices, right? We turn away from God, and God is holy, he is just, he is perfect. He can't be around sin, but he's also all-loving, which is why he sent his son, who lived a perfect life and took on a terrible punishment that you and I deserved. And he died on the cross, and he rose again, and he conquered death and grave. So now, anybody that wants to go to heaven, anybody that wants to have this joy and this peace in their life, all they have to do is ask Jesus, hey, please forgive me my sin. I want to follow you. That's all you have to do. So I'm going to ask you guys, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand. I'm not going to ask you guys to stand up, but if that's you tonight, and you're like, I want this peace. I want to find out God's purpose for my life. I'm going to ask you guys to repeat this prayer for me. It's not about the words you say. It's about what you believe in your heart. And it's, dear God, forgive me of my sin. I want to follow you. Please save me. And if you guys prayed that prayer, that's an amazing thing to do. After I get done praying, there'll be a QR code on the screen. I want you guys to scan that QR code so we can celebrate with you guys, because I don't know like how much you realize what an amazing thing you just did was. We're so excited if you did that tonight. I'm going to pray. And then again, if you're a Christian here, you raise your hand, please talk to a leader tonight. There's plenty of time to do so. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. I thank you just for not leaving me back. That God, I had people in my life that helped me and helped me get back right on track. And I'm living for you now. I get to continue doing ministry. God, thank you for putting those people in my life that talk some sense into me. I pray if there's any students here that are struggling with comparison, or they're struggling with God working on them, or they're struggling with going down a path of sin or living their own way. I please pray that you get them the help they need tonight, Lord. I ask that you just come in their life and you send a leader or two, or they give them the boldness to go talk to a leader about it, and they get this settled tonight. And pray for boldness and for patience and for peace, God, that only you can give. I ask all these things in your name. Amen. Again, you guys can stand to your feet. And if you guys want to celebrate people who made decisions tonight, Again, if you made a decision, I want you guys to scan that QR code so we can celebrate with you because we're so happy for you guys. And after that now.